Hawks and the Bucks. A pretty interesting game. I gotta tell you, I like the underdog. I think everybody knows I gravitate toward the underdog, and that's where I like to be. So I'm rooting for the Hawks. I really am. There's something about the way they play, and it's a struggle. Obviously, they're playing against a better team, and it looked like they had it. And all the things that we talked about in the last video and last breakdown were coming true as if they watched the video, or obviously they're looking at the same stuff that I'm looking at. So it's kind of really cool. I think both teams were doing the kind of adjustments that we were suggesting. So I got some notes I want to go through that I wrote down while watching the game on the couch. I want to definitely hear from you guys as well. So here's the thing. Download the Hot Mic app. And I believe it's still in the description. Did I put it in the description? If it's not, you know where it is. Follow me on B-Ball Breakdown, and you can come on the show and join me via audio and ask me questions. Give me your opinions, the whole thing. I love to hear you guys. I don't need to talk for the entire post-game show. So it's a great way to do this. We got a bunch of people already right now on the Hot Mic app watching. So, hey, request to come in there. I'll bring you guys in, and it's weird. Usually it takes a little bit of time, and then all of a sudden everyone's streams comes flying in there to ask questions. But I want to hear from you guys. I want to know your take. Certainly an entertaining game. And again, like I'm saying, like there's something about the way the Hawks are just the underdog that's really appealing to me. Also, Trae Young, it's who else plays the pick and roll better than him right now? Like maybe CP3, although he's still not playing well after he came back from COVID. Maybe Luka. Who am I missing? There's not that many. There can't be more than another one or two guys tops who play the pick and roll better, who run the pick and roll better than Trae Young is doing right now. Really, really impressive things. What's interesting is that both teams were like floater crazy. Trae Young was hitting floaters. If you notice that there was an adjustment we made in the last, the Bucks made in the last game that I showed was Brook Lopez coming up higher. And then what you saw then tonight was he come up kind of higher and like you'd see Young sort of hesitate and then sidestep for a three. And then he got going full speed downhill and beat Brook Lopez, who would come up as high as the 3-point line right to the basket for a layup. So it's really cool to see how they were adjusting to what found them so much success in game two, the Bucks. That ankle turn really, really blows, man. I mean, clearly Trae Young was in a lot of pain and not the guy he was before that, because before that he was unbelievable. Let me see if I get let me refresh here the final box score. So, Trae Young was, for the game, 12 for 23, 6 for 14 from three for 35 points, 4 assists. So they were kind of limiting his assists a little bit, but like he was such a force offensively with so much pressure on the defense. The Bucks really, were having a lot of trouble handling that. Now, the other interesting thing was at some point when Trae Young goes to the bench earlier on in the game, like in the second quarter, the Hawks extended the lead again, which is really bad news for the Bucks because they were hanging tough in there for a lot of the time until they got that lead right at the very end, kind of like a stolen game on the road pretty much, because you had that 4-point lead, 5-point lead even into the third quarter, and the Hawks were really kind of hanging on there. But the Bucks were able to keep close enough where they could then jump in there. So don't forget, over on the YouTube side, welcome everybody here. And it's early on a Sunday. We should have some more people coming in, I hope. And if you want to ask a question, you can try and throw it in the comments. It's kind of a hard one for me to catch there as much. But super chats will always get my attention if you want to go that route. So I suggest that. Hello there from someone in Greece. Wow, I don't know how you would say that, but it's something in Greek. Sigma, pi, I don't know what the other words are. Sigma, pi, SP, something I don't know. Anyhow, Giannis hit that jerk shot. Yeah, I was very surprised. Again, me kind of, stating as fact that Giannis struggles for his outside jump shot is not a hot take, not hating. But he came down the stretch and really was solid in a way that was good to see, because he wasn't so solid earlier in the game either. Some terrible turnovers and some missed shots right at the rim were head scratching to me on Giannis's point of view. But then certainly Chris Middleton comes in there, and let's just see what his final stats were, because he was really just impressive. Hit some tough shots that they needed. 15 for 26 down the stretch for the game from the field, 6 for 12 from three. On some of those were missiles, like barely got above the rim before they went in. 11 rebounds, 7 assists. I mean, he was the guy. Now, Giannis ended up having 33 points. A lot of those were getting off of rolls and off of the transition. So he did do some damage here and there. There's probably, like, I would say 4 buckets in the half court, maybe 5 of his 13. Maybe it could be 4. Although then he had 6 attempts. Oh, the free throw line thing we can get into. He shot an air ball. Did not look good there at all. The Hawks need to go to hack Giannis with 5 minutes to go. I don't know why they don't do it. I think it would be very successful for them. Granted, we talked about this where if Giannis hits a 1 out of 2, 1 point per possession is still pretty good. But when you get down to the crunch time and the Hawks are pushing it and they're going to generate threes and you're only going to get 1 point out of that, it's going to be a negative for you. So I don't know why they're not doing that. Someone should ask Nate why they don't, because it's just screaming to me that they need to put him on the line more. Let's see here. Let me go check the super chat. Oh, wow. Super chats. Here we go. Aaron McLean, thank you so much for being so generous. Hey, coach, will the Bucks have an advantage against the Suns in the finals because of size? So they'll have that advantage again, either way across the board for anybody they play. Listen, the Suns have Ayton to match up with Lopez or whoever else they go big with. And then, guys like, Bridges have the length and the wingspan to deal with Giannis. I don't know if he's got the strength. But who else do the Suns have? Besides Bridges, they bring in. My goodness gracious, I'm gonna have to look now because my mind is much. Listen, you can't ask me. I can't bounce back between everybody so quickly. Let me quickly do the Phoenix Suns, because the Suns look like they have it. I don't see them losing a 3-1 lead. Things that have happened. 3-1 leads keep getting lost every year now, multiple times, but. Jay Crowder also could probably do well sinking against Giannis and sort of daring him to shoot it. And that's probably about it. Saric, I don't think would do that well against him either. So they got a couple guys that they could throw out there. Now, Drew Middleton, let's just go to his numbers because Drew Holiday, 2 for 11. He was really ineffective. He had 12 assists, though, so we got to give him credit for that. But he was a really ineffective shooting, and they really kind of missed that. And I feel like that was what kept the Hawks in that 6-8 point lead. But the Hawks just couldn't get it. They had a chance where I think they were up by 8, and then they fouled Capella twice in a row, and he missed all 4 free throws. And that would have been a chance for them to get some separation. They could have breathed easy a little bit because, remember, Atlanta has no experience at this level, so except for maybe Lou. And so they needed to get a bigger cushion early so they could hang on late. And the Bucks just took it from them. It was crazy. A quick scan of the plus minus, and Pat Connaughton was plus 25 in 32 minutes. So he got a lot of minutes. He didn't score that much, 2 for 3 from the field, 1 with a 3, and grabbing 8 boards. But the plus 25 is pretty impressive on that end. And he did play a pretty good floor game, was just around the ball in opportune times. So let's keep going here with let me just check over here on the okay, no one wants to come in yet. All right, let's go. I'm going to go some of the comments over on the Hot Mic app because I want to give them a little bit of a special treatment. And by the way, if you guys want to, again, join me, come on in, request to speak. We'll chop it up for a few minutes and see how you guys what you guys want to think about this game. I want to hear what you have to say. Adam, Fluffy, Coach Glenn, anybody in there? Let's see here. Chris Middleton, 38, 11, 7. He was amazing in the fourth quarter. I mean, amazing is a good term for Chris Middleton. And they needed just about every one of those buckets going down the stretch. Atlanta scored 17 points after Trae Young's injury late in the third, and they had a 3-point lead. Absolutely. I mean, they obviously fall apart to some degree, even though they did expand that lead when he did go out, when he was out, not when he was injured, but he was out as his normal rotation earlier in the game. So, and by the way, we did see a Bogdanovich sighting, which he was a lot more active trying and being more aggressive. It didn't necessarily translate. 3 for 16, 2 for 10 from 3. And he missed a bunch of those that were just open, the kind of threes that the Bucks like to give up. Now, I had surmised earlier that, at some point, the Bucks are going to stop shooting 25% from 3, and they shot 40.5 tonight. They really did well, and that was a big difference for them for most of the game until the end. And all of a sudden, that was when I think Chris Middleton started to just sort of heat up and match a few of those threes. I suspect the second half, you'd see the threes were more even than normal than they were in the first half. So I feel like the Hawks had a bigger advantage in terms of made threes in the first half versus the second half. And that was all basically Middleton hitting them. I mean, nobody else hit them really for the Bucks. Middleton hit 6. You got Bobby Portis hit 1. That was pretty big. I wasn't sure he was going to be able to make it. Connaughton had 1, and then Bryn Forbes had 1. That was it. So, I'm sorry, I missed 2 other ones. Giannis had 1, and then PJ Tucker had 1. So, Yeah, they really relied on Chris Middleton from way deep to get those extra points. So, can the Hawks even win if Middleton has a good game? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, listen, they kind of were there. It's really kind of obvious to me more about Trae struggling mightily from that. That was a real big issue for them, and they have to. I didn't think it was that severe of a tweak of the ankle, but clearly he already hurt it at some point. I wonder if anybody remembers more clearly when that was, but he. It didn't roll it over. It was he stretched it out for sure, and it really sucks. The referee had to be there. I'm gonna have to study that a little bit more to see if there was a reason why the ref was there and if he couldn't have been anywhere else. Because that's always frustrating when you see like something like that happen on a nothing play on the sideline. Hawks offense was stalling after Trae Young's injury. Yeah, for sure. Listen, Trae Young is the engine. Now they need to be better, and they have been better at times with him out, and they can adjust. And you have Herter, and you have Bogdanovich able to be that role a little bit, but they need more from certainly Lou Williams. Let's look at his box score output real quick. 1 for 3 and a couple of free throws for 5 points and 3 assists. He just wasn't. I don't think he's got it anymore. I think he's gotten to the point of his career where every few nights he might bring it like you remember him, but other than that, he's going to be pretty pedestrian. So that really hurt. Onyeka Okongwu looked really good and was guarding Giannis really well. There were moments, though, where I felt like Nate had Capella on the bench, and I wasn't sure why. Capella ended up playing 27 minutes, and he wasn't foul trouble so much. He ended up with 3 fouls. So I'm a little bit confused because I felt like he was doing the best job on Giannis, and he certainly presents the biggest obstacle to him. And they got caught with Collins guarding him a few times, and I think they went with that a little bit too long, and it hurt them big time. So let's check back over here. All right, let's see what else we have from the Hot Mic app. Don't forget, again, Hot Mic. The link should be in the description. Download it. Come on the show. Join me, and you'll be broadcast right out to YouTube. Not your video, just the audio. Trae couldn't drive after the ankle tweak. It sucked. Yeah, that's for sure. Trae was injured. It just it's too bad. It was a good game. I wanted to see a good game down the stretch. We kind of didn't get that. Zian, thank you so much from Canada. Hey, Coach, do you think the Suns versus Clips is over? I kind of do. I should never say that because about how many times have we had 3-1 leads disappear so far in the last 3 years? A lot. I mean, maybe even go back as far as the Warriors, and you see it every playoff, I feel like. But certainly we saw the Denver Nuggets come back from 2 of those last year. This year we have the 3-1, don't we? Do we have no? Maybe we didn't have one this year, but so it doesn't feel like there's any chance for the Suns, in my mind. I think that the Clippers, listen, they're missing their best player. They're doing well. They're doing great. It's probably too much to ask at this point to see if they can get to the NBA Finals without him. So I just feel like 3-1. We're going to let's see here, back to Phoenix for Game 5. It doesn't feel good. Now Chris Paul needs to get back on track though, and I would imagine he would. He's not going to play 2-3 games in a row that are poor, unless he's got the COVID issue and it's causing him, unease. Aaron McLean, thank you. Why the ref stopped calling the 10-second violation on Giannis? The crowd be counting. Well, okay, the crowd is obviously counting a little bit fast, but it's clearly in last game I was timing it. It was 11 and a half seconds consistently. They just don't want to call it. Like we saw Zach Zarba last night or 2 nights ago. There was another one of those defender knocked the ball out of the dribbler's hand on the sideline out of bounds, and he did not review it. And that if they reviewed it, you would have caught a couple frames of the dribbler's hand still touching the fingernail of the ball, and it would have had to go back, switch the possessions. And Zach Zarba decided, he's like, nope, there was no doubt in my mind, and that's the only reason why you go to replay if there's any doubt. He said he was completely sure, and that's why they didn't need to go to replay. This might be what the refs do to get away from these troubling calls that we're seeing when the spirit of the movement is clearly the defense is hitting the ball out, and yet the review tells you that you have to give it back to the defense. So this is what the refs do, I suppose, to try and keep the game even. We have a request. All right, let's bring our first caller in for the show tonight. While you're doing that, I'm going to take one super chat. Zion, I think it's over as well. In your opinion, should the Clippers keep PG or try to get a different star with Kawhi? That's another great question, Zion. Are you there, METWBS?
Yes, Coach. Hello.
Hello. Thanks for coming on the show.
Oh, yeah, you're welcome. Definitely enjoy watching it.
Thank you.
I just have a quick question, I guess. It's The Hawks pick and roll is something that's been troubling my Knicks. I've been supporting the Knicks for years. They destroyed the Knicks with the pick and roll. They went over to the Sixers, destroyed the Sixers as well. And now the same thing is happening. I don't understand how can no team figure it out. So I guess what's your opinion?
Great. Well, they figured it out. Milwaukee did in game 2. So in the breakdown I did on YouTube, you could see it where they brought Brook Lopez up a lot higher to try and contain him early so he's not going downhill and just being able to see the whole floor. And then at full speed, Trae Young is probably the best guard I see going full speed downhill and able to shoot the floater, throw the lob, or kick for a shot. He is that good. What they need to do, and they started to at the end of the first half, if you notice, they were jamming him and trapping him. That really did wonders. They didn't do it as much in the third quarter as far as my mind's eye picturing that, and then he got hurt. So by bringing the ball screener's man up higher and by trapping him at times and keeping him off balance, it seems to work wonders, and that's what they should do and keep going forward. And the Knicks, I don't think did that at all. They didn't. I can't remember them trapping much at all. Maybe they.
Oh yeah, they were struggling very, very.
Yeah, you got to just show the guy different looks. You got to, drop. You got to trap. You got to switch. All those things are on the table. By the way, I had pointed this out in the video where what they should do is scram Lopez out of there as this man's on the way up the screen and get somebody more mobile to get up there so they can then, contain better. They try to do it with Thanasis and totally screwed it up. Lopez wasn't ready. Thanasis, I don't want to blame him because he actually looked like he was jumping to the ball like they wanted to do it, and it gave a right corner wide open 3 to Bogdanovic. If you notice, they skipped it to him. So they probably went away from that. But they did try it, and it was good. It was encouraging to see them at least, mix it up.
Yeah, but they keep bringing they keep screening with whoever's Brook Lopez is guarding. So
yeah,
they kind of try to do that. But I guess thank you, Coach. Have a good stream.
You got it. Thanks. See you later. All right, we got some more super chats. So let's get back to that. Okay, I don't know. Did I finish the refs calling a 10-second violation? I'm not sure. So anyway, he's consistently calling it. I guess they just simply don't want to deal with it, which is too bad. They should. I mean, listen, the rule's the rule. That would be, in my mind, the easiest call for a ref to make. There's no interpretation or anything. I think it's over as well. So should the Clippers keep Paul George? I mean, listen, Paul George has been terrific. He's been everything they can ask for him to do as number one when he's not really number one when Kawhi is there. So I don't think they need to move him. They should be worried about Kawhi. Kawhi could be breaking down, and this could be a thing that we'll see going forward in his career. I don't know, but I'm worried about. I'm more probably worried about him. Let's see. Ed Denego Meshach, thank you so much. Do you think that Kawhi Leonard should help coach up the players, giving them confidence and pointings in the sideline instead of sitting in the box seat? Ooh, that's an interesting question. Should Kawhi Leonard be down? Because we've seen other players do that where they're hurt. They're on the bench. They're like another coach. They're giving insights. That's interesting. He might be better suited to do that. I don't know, why he's sitting in the box then. That's really interesting. I'm very curious what other people think too as well, because it's an interesting question. Normally you don't see that. Normally they are down by the bench, and there's no question with what he knows in the game, like he would help, he would benefit. I don't know why. It's very strange. Good. Although is it that strange? I guess if we're talking about Kawhi, I mean, it's sort of like his thing. He doesn't like to speak too much, I guess. I don't know. But that's a great call, and he probably should get his butt down there and help them if they're going to need it. Okay, so again, go over to Hot Mic. You can join us just like we had, the last guest on the show. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And right on cue, we have another person who wants to come on in. So let's bring him in. NBW Doughboy, NBW, not. I don't even know what NBW stands for. But hit that button, come on in, and we'll chop it up a little bit. Hey,
Hello.
What's happening?
What's going on, Coach?
What is up? Is NBW an exciting, abbreviation I don't know about?
Now that's an old school gamer tag. I just never got rid of it.
All right, nice. So what do you see in this game?
Man, honestly, I just think Trae needed a little bit more help, and I just think the Bucks are just a well-built team, honestly. And over the years, the pieces they've been adding in Holiday and Middleton stepping up. Like Middleton looking like a young Kobe out there looking real good. I'm sorry, I know that's kind of slander, but I know he played real good. He had a real good game tonight.
Yeah, no, I don't think it's that slanderous, and he had a long two as well in honor of Kobe. And so, listen, he was awesome, and I don't even know if they mean to ask so much of him, but that's and that's part of Giannis's thing. Like Giannis is not that guy necessarily. He'll ball screen, he'll roll, he'll get in the transition, he'll ISO, and he did do a post up or two that he scored on nicely. So I was glad to see that. That jerk leg back fadeaway that Giannis hit was like, where's that GIF where the guy goes, whatever. Like we needed one of those. I was like, okay, look at that, Giannis. And again, I just don't understand why they didn't foul him and put him on the line down the stretch.
Like if Giannis had a jump shot, man, he would be like the most unstoppable player like in the league, in my opinion, for sure. Like just super dominant, man. Like,
yeah, I mean, he's got to tighten some stuff up. The handle's a little bit loose. They got some key steals on him there, but yeah, anything inside of 5 feet, like forget about it. It's over for him.
Definitely.
But we're seeing some of these moments where it's like, come on, like I hope that this summer is going to be big for him, and he'll start to tighten some of those things up.
Yeah, we always talk about unguardable players. I literally think like he is one of the most unguardable players, especially coming down like downhill. Like you're not stopping Giannis, you got to foul him. If he had a jump shot, good free throw, I mean, shooting good free throw percentage, like he would be like up there for sure.
Well, I mean, but the Nets, in my opinion, like kind of exposed him a little bit, where they could put Blake on him and give him a 10-foot sag, and he wasn't nearly as effective. But the solution, I thought, which is a great idea, was get out and run more and attack early more before they get in position where he really is lethal. And there is a skill to that, but to me, it's more of the skill of athletic ability and length and like how he can elevate and stretch. And that's he's gotten the most buckets that way in the whole series in transition, and that's definitely a difference between this series and the Nets series. And so it's good to see them figuring out how to focus on him and get him his buckets.
For sure. So I had two questions. Like one of my main questions was like I used to play basketball like when I was younger, YMCA type stuff or whatever. Like, and they used to have this call called over the back. And like when I'm watching NBA, like, do they call that in the NBA at all? Because I swear, like, I see players getting boxed out over and over again. And like last night when I was watching the game, Ayton just kept jumping all over Zubac's back. And I'm like, do they not call that in the NBA?
Right. Well, there was that one where they threw a ball up to him and Ayton just snatched it over on Zubac's head and then put it in, which is not quite a rebound, but like a similar thing. They're over the back is not a call in the NBA. It's a loose ball foul is what they call it. And in high school they might. I'm not even sure that exact phrase is still there. But in the NBA, it's weird because a lot of times guys don't even go for offensive rebounds anymore anyway. So we don't. It's a little bit rare to see that. But yeah, you don't see a lot of loose ball fouls called anymore. And I think the biggest reason is because guys are getting back on defense and not wanting to crash the offensive boards. And as a result, maybe the refs are a little bit, not used to calling it. But I don't know. Some of these guys are really, really athletic. They can get up in the air and tip it back and out. So it hasn't stood out to me where I've seen too many of those. But certainly I know what you're talking about for Ayton. And that's, by the way, that's some serious respect that Ayton is getting from the refs. That as a third-year player, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, Ayton definitely dominant for sure. I'm loving the way his game. He's really stepping up too. Like I love big men like the Dirks who can shoot that mid range, and I feel like if any big man today can add that to the game, it's like it'll be legendary because you got so much switching going on. Back in the day, they didn't switch a lot. Everybody just play, man on man. But like with them switching, like I don't understand why they don't like. I don't know. Big men need to work on that a little bit more for sure. I only had like two more questions, and you answered one of you. I was gonna ask like with PG, do you feel like PG getting a lot of like slander? Because like I've been watching a whole lot of pandemic P still going on, and it's like they blaming P, but I mean, what can you do? Like they had a whole. Everybody couldn't hit last night. The game was just so sloppy for a little bit there last night. It's like it wasn't just Paul George. I mean, it was the whole team. I just feel like he's getting a lot of slander. Like I'm loving the way PG playing. I think he's playing great. So
Oh, absolutely. He's had enough moments and enough, game-saving moments in this playoffs already to show that he's not quite like he's not the best guy. You can't have him as the best scorer on a Western Conference Finals team that's going to win the Western Conference Finals. Like, he can get you there, and he proved that he can without Kawhi playing for a lot of those games. So I think there's been plenty of evidence to show that he is legit, and he really played well. And again, like you said, it was fantastic defense on both teams last night. No one was going to shoot well in that situation. He did nicely, and he was able to be a threat, and he did hit some nice shots. So I am really impressed. That's why I think like that they should keep those two guys should stay together, and they should run it back one more time. If Serge Ibaka is not going to be healthy, then get rid of him and get somebody else that can maybe block a shot and maybe spread the floor a little bit. That would really help them, and then they can reload and get right back to the conference finals, NBA finals for sure.
For sure. Well, that's all the questions I had. But yeah, I had one more question. Like, do you still upload quick hits? Because I used to love watching quick hits with the plays, just like understanding the fundamentals of basketball, and like I used to just love watching those uploads. I don't know if you do them anymore, but
I probably should. I haven't. I've only been doing like the game stuff, whenever certainly the playoffs.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna sit down and really just review all the kind of content I've done over the years after the season's over, and really kind of figure out what I like, what works, what doesn't work, because it seems like the YouTube is now it's changing. Everything changes, content changes, and I want to make sure that I figure out what everybody wants to watch. So that's a great call. I'm gonna have to revisit those and figure out what I'm gonna do.
For sure. Well, that's all I got, Coach, man. Thank you so much. I appreciate this. I'm definitely going to be calling in again soon. Just download the hot mic out. So
awesome. Thank you so much. All right. Check in later.
Mm-hmm.
All right. We got some super chats before I bring the next guest on. Thank you so much. So we have Nisa Naidu, friend of the breakdown from New Zealand, always there for us. Hi, Coach. Love the content as always. Thank you. Do you think that Brook Lopez should get less minutes? I think Giannis at the 5 works way better for them over Lopez. I agree. I like when they put him in there. It seems like that 5 defensively is like, I'm not sure how the Atlanta Hawks are supposed to score. What is it? It's Giannis, Middleton, Holiday, Tucker, and somebody else who's really good at defense. Somebody tell me who it is. Damn. Let me look at the box score. Who am I missing? Tucker, Giannis, Middleton, Holiday. Who else was it? Tucker, Giannis, Middleton, Holiday. I guess Connaughton was out there with them, but maybe but Portis wouldn't be there. Maybe he could. Either way, it seems pretty stifling when they get those kind of guys out there defensively, and I love it. And Giannis is he's playing like a center anyway. He sets a lot of ball screens and rolls, sets pin downs and stuff like that too. So he posts up. So yeah, I'm in. That's probably how they should do it even more often. And that means, well, let's see, how many minutes did Lopez get? He only got almost 25 minutes. That's not a lot for him. He usually plays, I think, closer to 30. So Bud is definitely looking at that and realizing that they can get some more mileage out of that. And I have a feeling that if we look at the substitution pattern, the minutes that Lopez lost were those ones at the end when we saw them come back and take control of that game. I'm pretty sure. I can't picture right now Lopez on the floor for that. So great call. We have one more. Hang on. Mehmet will be with you in a second. Let me just get Adam S. Dwyer. Thank you so much. Looking a bit ahead, if the Suns do win the title, do you think DeAndre Ayton should win Finals MVP? Narrative is there for Chris or Devin, but the system Monty has installed has me thinking Ayton would win. The narrative is probably for Devin, no matter what. So we'll have to see. But Ayton, we'll have to find. I mean, listen, Ayton is going to have a monster. He'd have to average, 22 and 12 in a block and a half or something like that. And you know what I mean? With probably at least one game where he got 30 plus, I'd imagine. That would probably what we have to do to get the Finals MVP. We can't get too ahead of our skis here and make sure, but I'm pretty sure the Suns are going to make the Finals. And then again, who are they going to be able to beat the Bucks? The Bucks are fallible. They're not world beaters. They are good, but they are certainly beatable. So but I would think that for Ayton to win it, he'd have to have at least one monster game, and then really over the series average. I would more than 20. It's got to be 22, 23, and then double-digit rebounds. I think that would do it. Okay, let's bring in our next guest over from the Hot Mic app. And if you want to join on YouTube, get the Hot Mic app, come on in, and we'll broadcast you out to everywhere. Let's do this. Bring in Mehmet. Let's see if he is there. If he hits that button and comes on in the show. Now, and here he is. Mehmet, what's happening?
Hey, Coach, how are you?
I'm doing okay for a Sunday. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. So I had kind of a two-part question. One, kind of more specifically about this game, and second, about kind of an observation I've made throughout a couple of the series this playoffs. So one, I think like when the Hawks were leading by 15 points kind of early on, Trae was kind of shooting those, 35, 37 footers, and they're amazing when they go in. But also, sometimes the long rebounds just ended up in a lot of, transition points that kind of burned them in terms of allowing the Bucks to get back into the game very easily. And I've noticed this kind of inability to, hold on to leads throughout the playoffs. So we saw it a lot in the Atlanta-Philly series from both teams. Philly unable to hold on to leads, Atlanta unable to hold on to leads. And we saw it again here. We saw it with Dallas against the Clippers. It's a lot of early clock shots, a lot of these bad shots. Do you think, having the lead kind of gets to the players' heads, or is the coach to kind of do something there to get them more level-headed? So, what do you think of Trae's, deep shots? And what do you think about kind of the game management we've seen from these teams?
Well, every single early big lead in the first quarter disappears. Like it's almost like guaranteed. If you're up, 20-8, you're not going to, that lead disappears. By the end of the first quarter, the other team gets level again. And for that reason, you can't sustain sometimes that kind of hot shooting. So I got that. Like I knew that wasn't obviously going to be a lead they could sustain. I did feel like once they got deeper into the game and they had that 5-6 point lead and they were threatening to make it double digits again, now that was a little bit more sustainable to me as they built it. And they got hit with the Capella missed those free throws that really hurt them in that. I don't want to say it's the second quarter. So that's part of it for sure. Now the Trae threes, by the way, he passed up one that he probably was open and then got the ball back and then shot like an even deeper three on Giannis and made it. So that was the kind of night he was having where you can see in his head, I think he's trying to limit a few of those where he might have taken them more in the past. And now he's being a little bit more judicious with his decision-making on shooting those deep ones. But listen, what makes him great is his ability to play free. Same with Steph, right? Steph needs to be able to have the freedom to throw some of those turnovers so that he can then throw the amazing pass and make that amazing three or make that amazing drive and floater, right? You got to be able to have that mindset. So I wouldn't tell, Trae not to do that as, so much, although they clearly had told him. I think John Collins had probably grabbed his collar earlier in the year. They got into a big fight. And, nothing pisses off a big man more than, the guard just dribbling the ball up from 30 and just jacking it before they set up an offense. So anyway, I think I hope that answers the question, but I think that was what was going on. And speaking of which, I can now do the sliders on the NBA box score. The first half, the Bucks made 10 threes, and the Hawks made 10 threes, and the Bucks made 3. And that was the difference right there. That's 21 points of advantage on the 3-point line alone. That gave. But by the way, the Hawks and the Bucks were tied at halftime. So that told you something that there was something off about what was going on here, and the Bucks were dominating in the paint, and that obviously becomes a little bit more sustainable. Wow, that was a long answer. What do you think about that, Mehmet?
But yeah, definitely, I agree with you there that sometimes it's unsustainable. And Middleton totally iced the game there at the end with I think it was 3 or 4 3-pointers in a row. Hopefully, I think it's kind of clear that the Bucks are a better team, even though the Hawks do put up a good fight, and it was good to see them kind of have a tight game after that embarrassing loss earlier. So hopefully we see another good long series. But it just kind of makes me think, man, I wish Kevin Durant's toe was not on the line and we'd be seeing some more Durant here. But I know.
Oh yeah.
Exciting playoffs, and appreciate your breakdowns and appreciate you taking the question today.
Thank you so much. Great to have you.
Thanks.
All right. Yeah, Kevin Durant's working on making his foot shorter for next year. Buzzer beater, thank you so much. After tonight's game, is Drew worth the money? Yeah, what is the money? How much is the money? Do we know? Let's see. I'm going to look it up real quick. I'm sure someone's going to yell it out at me, but let's just do it real quick. So his salary this year, is he worth what he's getting paid this year, which is $26 million. Yeah, I mean, listen, $26 million for a starter on an Eastern Conference Finals team is fair, is good. And there's no question, like I said this before on my locker room show probably earlier today. So it's a perfect mixture of not Eric Bledsoe and then Drew Holiday there, right? It's like it's for as much as Drew Holiday is helping him, which he certainly is. It's also that they just simply removing Eric Bledsoe. I hate to be so brutal on him, but that's a big difference just to get a different kind of play out of that position. So listen, he's worth it for sure. $26 million, that's good for a starter like that, and especially a guy who you can rely on at certain times to be a good scorer and a really good defender. Chrono 454, thank you. Video to Monty's defensive scheme in Phoenix. I think they deserve one. I feel like I went through a little bit of it in the last breakdown, but yeah, their rotations are so on point. And by the way, the Clippers are too. I really want to be able to get into a practice and watch how they're doing that, because I've seen how the Warriors do it, and it's really impressive with the way they run. They have a certain drill that goes through all the rotations, and they do it every practice. I have to imagine that the Suns do the same thing, and those guys know how to X out. They know how to rotate, and the weak side guy coming over. Really, really impressive. So yeah, it's a good call. I'll definitely do one. It probably end up maybe being, if I can sneak it in during the playoffs, I will. Otherwise, I'll try and get it down, to maybe when the season's over, after I take a little break. By the way, really cool news. I'm actually presenting at Coaching You Live at Vegas on August 6th and 7th, I believe, or is the dates when it's happening. And if you're a coach and you want to get out and go to Vegas and go to one of the greatest coaching clinics you're going to see, I'm like one of the only non-NBA coaches speaking. So it's a huge deal for me, but certainly you'll see, in the years past, it's been like Spoelstra and Carlisle and Nick Nurse. I think those guys are all probably coming back. So yeah, you come out there, you can, sign up for that, Coaching You Live, and see even more stuff. I got some really cool things to present. Let's see here. Do we have anybody who wants to come on the show? Yes, Adam is requesting. I think it's the same. It's the same Adam. Let's see here. And again, if you're out there on YouTube and you want to come on the show, download the Hot Mic app and request to speak, and I'll bring you in, and you'll chop it up with me on the audio side for the YouTube, and mix all the other 1,000 people out there who can hear you what your thoughts are. So, Adam, what's happening?
Hey, Coach Nick, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing well. I had a good day, and relaxing, and here I am. How about you?
I'm doing quite well. I'm glad to hear you're also doing well. I was sad to see the Hawks lose, but they can bounce back for sure. So I've been watching almost every game in these playoffs, and I've been making some observations, and I wanted to get your thoughts. So the first one, I'm going to stick to this series, and it's just a small one. I think the Hawks look really great, and I think Kevin Huerter especially has been playing well, and especially within their system. But one thing that I've noticed is his inbounding makes me very suspect, and honestly, it kind of worries me anytime he's inbounding.
That's interesting. So as far as passing and throwing the ball away?
Yeah, I think he's gotten some 5-second calls, and yeah, he's thrown it away a few times, or they've had to call ways to burn a timeout when he's inbounding. Yeah.
In fairness, the one he burned at the end of the second quarter, I think, goes away in the second half. So it was almost like they had it just to do it. But yes, I hear you. But that wasn't his fault. Nobody moved. They didn't realize he had the ball or whatever. I don't know. That I felt bad for him. But okay, I hear you. But he definitely deserves some props.
Yeah, he's been better this series, but I remember especially in the Philly series, I saw a few that were like, oh. But another big thing I've been noticing these playoffs is the long rebounding the long rebounds have just been crazy. They kind of certain ones swing games at times. But do you think that skills trainers and coaches are going to start doing more scheming and coaching for these long rebounds in the future?
No.
The shift in the NBA?
Yeah. Well, it's a good question, because what are you doing to train for long rebounds, right? That's an interesting, concept of how you drill that, right? What, you have any ideas?
Not really. I've been trying to think of some, but I don't really know. It's one of those things that's kind of just maybe Dennis Rodman would be really good to ask that question, because he's a master at apparently knowing where the ball's going to go based on its spin and where it hits the rim. But
yeah. Well, shooters are supposed to, back in the day, you shoot it and you're supposed to kind of run to the free throw line if it's a 3 or whatever in that area. Nobody ever does it. They just watch the shot and they hover where they shot it, whatever. So offensively, that could be a way to get you in a situation where if it would, depending on where it goes, you'd be close enough to go get it. And then defensively, we're talking about it. Like, yeah, it's tough because they'll bounce out fast off the back rim, and then it's like, there's no way to anticipate that short of just being in the right spot and being there. But it's a good call as far as the offensive rebounds anyway, because the Bucks were the ones who hammered them and it was basically the difference in the game. I thought every time those second chance points they got were the difference in the game. I think they're also a huge difference for game 2 as well. So that's an issue that the Hawks are going to have to figure out somehow. They're actually only led 15-9, but at some point when I looked up the offensive rebounding, it was a much bigger disparity than that. So yeah, the Hawks are going to have to figure something out and get in better positions, balanced wise, where they could grab those. But sometimes it's just it's the basketball gods deciding who gets luck or not. It's crazy.
Yeah. Well, I mean that's all I really had to ask right now.
Cool.
I might come on later if I think of anything else, but I appreciate your streams.
Awesome.
I look forward to them.
Thanks, Adam.
Thanks for having me on.
You got it. All right. So, buzzer beater. Thank you again. A double one. Who really coaches the Suns, CP3 or Monty? Very, 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 very good question because we're charting. They're still not running much Spain and pick and roll. They're doing a little Spain now that Chris Paul is back, but not like they did it to get campaign off so well in the other game. Again, Chris Paul is calling the plays, and Monty Williams is willing to let him do that, and it's worked out great. But at some point, I feel like he just needs to have a little more influence. Monty does to say, "Hey, Chris, we got to get 5 or 6 more Spain pick and roll calls." It really, now the Clippers have gotten better at defending it. And that was with like Zubats dropping down low early so that they can't backscreen him, and then the other 2 guys can just switch. So that goes a long way. But there are some counters off of that and some pin down action they could find after that that they should install and be ready for that now, because again it's a reason why everybody likes to run it and it gets good shots, and they were getting good shots even though they adjusted to defending it. It's just weird to me that they won't They won't go to it a little bit more often, and that to my mind is clearly because Chris Paul is just calling all the plays, and it's not his thing. He doesn't like it, maybe, I don't know, even though he was scoring out of it. Chris Paul, then that is, and then also probably give Cameron Payne a few extra minutes by himself without Chris Paul on the floor. I know that Booker, I think, got into foul trouble, so that's probably why they played CP3 and Cam Payne together. But Cam Payne's got to get 8 minutes in the game by himself without CP3 to run the show. I'd like to see that, and that seems to really be a problem for the Clippers. Let's see here. Anybody else want to come in? No? Okay. Torrey Craig's another guy. I think this is from before we were talking about who the Suns had to guard from the Bucks, I think. Or no. Wait, is that right? Yeah. Anyway, let's see. Bear Stern, what probability do you give the Bucks now to win the series? Let's see. A 1-1 series, and the team went on the road in Game 3. They probably have I think the Bucks are going to win in 6. That's sort of what I was saying anyway. The Hawks, to me, feel like they've got another win in them, but that's about it. So the win the series is it's a high probability, 80%. The only question now is I don't think it's in 5. I think it's in 6. But that would be amazing if they got to a 7th game. Hey, how should the Hawks defend Giannis ISO? I mean, they just need that. They have to get caught with less possessions of Collins guarding him. They got to match up Capella's minutes better with Giannis. I feel like there was they stretched it out a little bit too much, trying to get a little too cute. By maybe they had a 5-point lead and they let Capella get a little extra rest, and I think they blew it by about a minute. So my mind is it's got to be Capella on him for all those as much as possible. He seems to me like the best guy to do it. Let's see. Do you think that Portis should get most of Lopez's minutes? Portis was really, really good tonight, but Lopez, deserves to get his 25 minutes. I think they did it pretty well with what they need him to do, Lopez, as far as minutes goes. They shouldn't be the 30 minutes like they've been doing in the past. So I like the 24, 25, 26 minutes for Lopez, and then let Portis, suck up all the other minutes. That he was terrific for them, which begs the question, why wasn't he playing at all in the previous round? Zion, again, thank you from Canada. What do you think about Pat Bever's defense on Book? It's been fantastic. I mean, listen, it's 4 parts fouling and 6 parts hustle and good defense, but that's all part of good hustle and good defense. And he's really pushed the limits. People ask me why they don't call it on him, call more fouls on him, and I said the answer is simple: volume. They're not going to call everyone. And that's what he knows. And so he's going to push it as much as he can. He's going to be talking to everybody. He talks to Booker. You see him like trying to be like almost like buddies with him, and then they're contentious. It's a game he's playing on a lot of different levels. Buzzer beater, thank you. How do NBA coaches discipline players? I mean, they have a fine. They institute fines, which, money to a lot of that kind of thing to a lot of those players who make so much money probably doesn't do much. But it's not like they're going to make him run extra sprints or something after practice. The best way I probably could have heard about doing that kind of thing is, Phil Jackson's philosophy about the pack, and that when everybody wants to be part of the pack and not feel ostracized at all. And so he had used that to leverage that as well to sort of, if a player needed discipline like that, he would make sure that the team was able to express how they felt in a negative way to like make him feel that and want him to get back into the fold. It obviously works a lot better when you have a situation where the player wants to be back in the fold. That leads to all sorts of authentic apology and true desire and intention to play the right way and be part of that team. It's when you force it and when you sort of punitively penalize players is when you can get more contentiousness, and it could exacerbate a situation that needs more communication. Let's see here. Wow. Any other questions? Let's go over to Hot Mic and see if we have some questions in the comments. If you want to come on the show, please request. But we have Fluffy wants to set a gentleman's sweep, a 5-game win by the Bucks. I don't know. I truly feel like the Hawks have one more in them. Hey, Coach, any plans to start a podcast? I have a podcast, and I have had it for years, but I've been taking my Hot Mic shows and posting them a little bit, but for some reason these AirPod Pros, I don't sound good enough. In fact, people who call in on Locker Room sound better than me, so I've been hesitant to post those in my pod. So I have it. Go find it. Subscribe. I'm going to start posting again. At least I'm going to make those shows back in the pod. It's stupid I'm not doing that now. Maybe I'll just do it anyway, or figure out the mic situation better. So stay tuned for that. Is Dame out of Portland? Listen, do you guys think that that it was really sort of violent in the unrest in Portland last summer during the protests? Because I can tell you right now that was nothing compared to what you'd see if Dame gets traded. I don't know what would happen in Portland, but they'd burn the place down, I would think. So I would have a hard time believing they're going to trade him. Now, we were talking the other day about possible trades like for the Celtics. What can they do to improve? And I was almost thinking what about CJ and Marcus Smart? What if there's a deal there around those two guys? That to me, and now again, I don't know if Portland wants to do that at all. They would probably need somebody else. Someone's well, maybe you got to do I think it might be too much for CJ, but something like Marcus. No, you couldn't do. No, it wouldn't work with Marcus Smart and Jaylen Brown and CJ. They would need a number 1 pick, and they need somebody else to do that. But that would be an interesting thing. I wouldn't even trade, Brown from the Celtics anyway. But if there's a way to do it around CJ and Marcus Smart, I think that'd be interesting. But again, if I were Portland, I probably wouldn't do that trade because Marcus Smart drives me crazy. Do you think that Coach Bud secured a spot to be Bucks coach next year? If they get to the finals, then yeah, you can't fire him. I mean, unless Giannis went to management and said, "Get this guy out of here." I doubt that happens, but that would certainly mean that he's gone no matter what. But I don't think Giannis. I don't get that sense that he feels that way. So I think Budenholzer is safe for another year. Okay, Brallian wants to come on the show. Let's bring him in. Let's do it. I hope Brallian, Bralyn. Hope I didn't completely butcher that. Let's see. He has to press a button. She has to press a button and accept the invitation. Come on in. We'll chop it up. Let's see here. Any other super chats to take care of? No. Okay. Smart, Tristan Thompson, Peyton Pritchard for CJ. It's still kind of pennies on the dollar a little bit there, but yeah, that might be what they could pull it off. I mean, Peyton Pritchard, I think the Blazers would like. He did nicely as a rookie, and if he continues to progress, he could be a guy who could be a good off the bench player. Let's see here. While we're waiting for Brallian to come on, I invited you. Let's see, Kaiser. Who do you think matches up better against the Suns, assuming they make the finals? The Hawks or the Bucks? Let's see here. Do the Hawks match up? I mean, listen, Capella and Ayton is pretty good. Trae Young on CP3 isn't great. And then who guards Booker? I mean, they probably put Bridges on Booker. And then who else? Let's see here. That's for for the Suns. But let's go back the other way. Hawks versus Suns. Okay, so sorry. So who guards Booker? I probably Bridges. No, Jesus Christ, sorry. On the Hawks, who guards? Let's see. You know what? My mind is mush. It's the end of the live show. Okay, somebody tell me in the comments. Let me go back here on the Hawks. Because I'm having trouble picturing the Hawks right now. Who like their defense? This is okay. Let me go here. Playoffs. Okay, so so Bogdanovich will have to guard Booker. It's not a great matchup, and maybe he's need to be better, but he's still not a great defender. Herder, and then you got So I don't think the Suns match up that well against. I don't think the Hawks match up that well against the Suns. Now the Bucks. So I think the answer is the Bucks. The Bucks would match up a lot better. So there you go. Wow, and a long-winded extent. Okay, so we have Zian. The buzzer beater. Another question. Wow, thank you. Will you do a mock draft prospect analysis? Yeah, for sure. I'm going to bring in Adam Stanko, who's my resident expert on the draft. So we're going to definitely do some stuff like we do every year. Maybe I'll bring Dave Dufour in as well, and we'll do it. So we'll do definitely some analysis. So stay tuned. Those are always some of my better videos. Zion, thank you. My goodness, thank you guys. Multiple super chatters. What content will you upload over the summer? So I'll definitely be doing, free agent signings and trades and the draft, summer league, probably something from there or two. I might even do a retro breakdown for some old games as well. There's no stopping me. I'm on vacation for a week right after the finals, but then after that, I'll be right back at it. So, and then anything else you guys want, I'm going to take a real, serious look at the content to figure out what I want to do, what I want to adjust, and what I want to get rid of, because I really want to starting to freshen some things up. Philip Stahl, thank you, Philip. Do you know who sings Radioactive? Well, there is the yes, Radioactive is I don't know if it's Radioactive, but there's the one Radioactive is that what's that band that has all those hits? Radioactive, and I've used their songs in the past. Bralian, what's happening? Do you know the band I'm talking about that sings Radioactive?
No.
Oh well. What's happening?
So my boyfriend really loves your show, and he wanted to know if you think Chris Paul would win the ring.
Yes. Okay. Here, I'll go this far. Chris Paul, I think, is going to get to the NBA Finals, and that's halfway there. Does he win the ring? Imagine Dragons. That's the answer. Thank you, Nixon. So can he win? Yes, he absolutely can. And and should he? It would be a nice ending to his career, or as he gets to the end of his career, because of all those playoff heartaches that he's had. So. There's no question the Suns have a better 50-50 or 60-40 chance of winning the finals without question.
Okay, thank you.
You got it. All righty. Quick question. Okay, so I don't know. Imagine Dragons. There you go. So was I right? I mean, that was what I was thinking of. But I needed Nixon over on the Hot Mic app to remind me of Imagine Dragons. I was thinking of "This Is My Kingdom Come," right? When I done, then look into my eyes. They're good, right? They're good emo, whatever you want to call it, right? In fact, maybe I should use that for a song. I'm gonna have to get back. I used to use a lot of fun pop songs. I don't know if I ever used Radioactive though. Maybe I did, but I used one of them. What are some of the other hits by them? Imagine Dragons, greatest hits. You're gonna tell me before I even finish. Believer. That's a good one too. So maybe, and Nixon's got to chop it up with me, so he'll probably break it down and yell at me for not knowing Imagine Dragons. What's up, Nixon? I'm waiting to let you in. How would the Clippers bounce back if they do? That's a good question.
Hello. Hey, Coach Nick.
What's happening?
Nothing much. I'm a little disheartened by the Hawks game. I really was rooting for them to win, but they couldn't close the deal. Well, I have kind of like a preliminary question. So, do you know what Bogey's injury was? Bogdanovich?
Yeah, it was a knee injury, and I don't know if I can't. I remember if it happened on the court and like what he did to it, but something around his knee and something that was obviously limiting him. But he looked a little bit better tonight at least.
Do you think that was hampering him? Because especially during that the fourth quarter stretch, he was missing a lot of like crucial threes.
Yeah,
I don't know if the knee was altering his shot base or affecting like his energy transfer.
He looked better. Well, so energy or just movement pattern in general looked better than certainly the last game, which he really looked like he was hurt. So that was one thing. But there's no question that if you have knee pain and it's affecting the chain, the shot's going to be off too, especially under pressure. So, he's gutting it out. They don't really have anybody else to put in besides him, which is I get it. Although it would be great to see maybe like Cam Reddish get some minutes and get comfortable again, but it's asking too much. So there's no question that I would imagine that he missed a ton. Let's see, he was
2 for 10.
2 for 10. Is that from 3? Yeah, from 3. At least 3 of those, were good open shots that you would think he would hit. And then there are nights when he'd hit 6 of 10, 7 of 10, like that, and he didn't do it. So it's too bad that we're dealing with so many of these injuries because it's really making the game. It's affecting the outcome more than it should.
Mm-hmm. My other question is, so I was watching like the third quarter. I think it was like the tail end of the third quarter where Onyeka Okongwu, I think that's his name, the one who was I think 6th pick in the draft or 7th, one along the line. He was having like great minutes, like guarding Giannis, especially like fronting the post, just like denying Giannis the ball, and I think he had like a jump ball possession or like a good
ripped it out of his hands almost. Yeah,
almost ripped it out of his hand. Do you think he should be getting more minutes while like Clint Capella's on the bench? Because I don't know if it was maybe just because it was that game he was defending Giannis well, or maybe that's like a telltale sign. I can't speak. That he should be guarding Giannis more.
This was the first game that I felt like he displayed that. We hadn't seen much of that in the past. Like he hadn't played that well, and they were giving him like some spot minutes just to kind of give Capella a little bit of a break. But maybe if they can build on this, he's got a lot of ability. He's a good player. Rookie, has completely green in this situation. I don't think he's going to get more than 9 minutes or 10 minutes in the game, regardless. I mean, that was as well as he's played all year and in the playoffs, and they still only gave him 9 minutes. He had 4 points on 2 for 2 with a steal and a block. So, I mean, that was great. So I would think that at most he's going to get, the 11, 12 minutes maybe and give him a little bit more run. But it was really, really interesting to see. And again, Giannis is guardable, right? He's not the skill level isn't so high that it's like really difficult. There are guys that know this, and the thing that I mentioned in the video was they're not jumping him on that spin move he does every single time. Well, they finally started to do it a little bit. They missed a couple ones earlier on, but they did get a couple turnovers on that. They jumped him right when he started to do the spin. And I got to tell you, if the Hawks do that more, they're going to get some more turnovers, and that could very well be part of the Okongwu, if he's guarding him and he can be that pressure to start out. So anyway, but the long answer to a shorter question is, I think that he's probably going to just end up getting that 10 minutes at the most. But it was great to see him have such a positive impact.
My final 2 questions are, how do you think that Nate McMillan is going to adjust to Chris Middleton's playing the way he is right now? Like, how do you think he's going to change his defensive strategy on him?
Well, he clearly is reluctant to play him like a legit number one, which would be like doubling him on the pick and rolls, because it's the pick and rolls in my mind. I got to go through it again, but the pick and rolls to my mind were the ones that were really what was killing them. It's Middleton and the ball handler there. Although I suppose there's a couple of ISOs as well. I think that Nate McMillan's going to probably have to live with some of those. He hit some tough shots, man. Tough, step back, fade, sidestep off the dribble threes, guys in his face. So I have a feeling that they go back and look at a lot of those shots. They're gonna be like, that's fine. If he hits those, then they're gonna win, and we're gonna tip our caps. I don't know if you want to do much else besides if you start to drag your whole defense out of position to try and stop him, then forget it. Then Giannis is gonna be dunking, and they're good at getting the ball and rotating it to the open spot. So my first impression without having gone through the footage again would be like, hey, you guys did great on him. Keep that up, and he won't do it again.
Okay. My final question. This is kind of a unrelated to the series because I'm a Heat fan. What acquisition do you think that we should, or what players do you think we should go for in order to improve the team? Because we really like hampered without Jay Crowder. We're missing his presence and a lot of those key pieces from that finals run that we had.
Yeah. It's weird because they really didn't they couldn't recreate that magic that they had, and so it's like, well, what do they need? Like Jimmy Butler needs to be healthy. That would help a lot. And then if you were choosing a player to add to that roster from who's a rookie coming out of college or whatever, I have to actually do my homework and see where are they picking? Do we know?
I think they're not 14 because the Warriors have 14, but I'm pretty sure it's 18. It's 18.
Yeah, so that's rough. I mean, to be able to pick somebody 18th and who's going to be able to help them right away, that's kind of tough. But like as far as a general sense of like what they need,
the 3-and-D guy, like a stretch 4.
Yeah, I think a stretch 4 is probably what they would need the most to go alongside Bam and complement that. That said, I mean, listen, Duncan Robinson is that guy, but he didn't progress as much as they were probably hoping him to, and Tyler Hero as well. So those guys just need to be able to figure out a better way to get back in it. I think that might help. I don't know if Dragic is coming back, but I feel like he is impeding the progress of a guy like Hero. And maybe even like Kendrick Nunn. So for those guys to take the next step, they're going to need that off the get-go. Maybe Dragic, is just in the way of that. I think he's broken down enough where it's not worth, relying on him at all for that. Let the young guys just have the reins and take over. That probably be the quickest path they can make, independent of even, the draft to get back where they were.
All right. Thank you for your time.
You got it. Thanks. All righty. Well, we're getting to the end here. It's past an hour, at least on the old stream counter we have on the Hot Mic app. Let's see here. Buzzer beater. We have buzzer beater. Sorry, I was Philip Stahl. I'm just realizing what you were really saying in your thing. Okay. Thank you. Buzzer beater says, how does a PG get CP3 type green light? Wow, that's a great question. I mean, obviously you earn it by hitting shots and being that guy, but there's probably more of a mind meld between Chris Paul and like the coach that he develops in the practices, in the film sessions, that kind of stuff to enable to to get the trust from the coach. But you need to be able to make good decisions consistently, and the coach will recognize that, and then give you more free reign until you are like a CP3 who is calling all the plays and running the show that way. Now, because green light to me means calling the plays, because obviously CP3 has a green light, but it's a little bit different than like a Booker. Booker's green light's different, right? And some guys probably don't even deserve that green light. But let's see here. Guillermo, why are you yelling, Coach? Coach, that's me. Yes, Guillermo. Let's see here. He could have had Gallinari and Crowder. Yeah, by the way, I want to just shout out to Gallinari for being really, really great tonight. Like, let me just see his numbers. I wonder how great they were. 7 for 14, 18 points. He was hitting really tough shots and being that guy, that steady presence they needed. So really just a big shout out to him. And, he got a steal on Giannis on the drive. Really, really helped them. Like, had they won, that he would have been a nice part of that story of like, hey, they really helped them. So, Colin wants to come in. So I'll bring in Colin for one more guest, and then we'll start to wrap this thing up. So, let's see here. Wayne, I'm not even sure I have an answer for you for what team best benefits Ben Simmons. I don't know. A team that has all shooting and spacing around him. Colin, what's happening, my man?
Hey, what's up, Coach? Can you hear me?
I can hear you great.
Hey, I just had hopefully it's okay. It's not about the series, but I'm a Warriors fan, and I'm just curious what you would think as far as, the Warriors have kind of the big three still with Clay hopefully coming back next year, but then they've also got kind of another sort of trio of James Wiseman in these 2 draft picks. So I'm wondering if you think there's enough in that core big three to make trades and kind of bring in some more, veteran players that have kind of been a key in the last few title runs, or should they keep going with sort of the James Wiseman development and just draft for need this year?
Yeah, it's a great, great question. And listen, I think that James Wiseman could be an all-star. I really do. And so that's a really tough decision to make if you want to, get rid of a guy who could be an all-star and such a young guy and develop like that for, maybe a player that's going to be with you for a couple of years and, give you some short-term gain. That said, they don't have that many more years left of Steph. So they need to do something. I would hope it would have to be like a really good deal, like, simply one they couldn't turn down. Now the question is, what would that be? Like, what team is willing to like give up a player, for that that's good enough to get back? Like, do you have any ideas?
Yeah, I don't know. That's kind of a good question. I know a lot of people were, or I guess not a lot, but I heard some stories about like Bradley Beal last year. But
yeah,
I don't know. I thought that was kind of a weird fit, to be honest, because it was just another backcourt player who was like 6'3", 6'4". I wasn't sure about that one. So
no, they need another Kevin Durant. They need that guy. They need a guy who's like 6'8", 6'9", or whatever, and he can shoot and play D, which is what everybody wants. But
right.
So that said, like, who would even be available for that, right? Like, I can't even, I don't even know. That would really, really fit them like that. And who's like a veteran that you're going to get like great play out of? Who is that now? I don't even know.
Right. Or you could even, it'd be nice to draft for need on the wing, but I don't know. Sometimes I feel like the Warriors environment, I guess, the last few years haven't always been conducive to like developing young players. I guess because it's kind of a high pressure win now situation. But I think of guys like had some buzz, like Jordan Bell or Pat McCaw or Wiseman, and then they come in and they're kind of just disappointing. Whereas guys like David West or Iguodala or Sean Livingston were the actual guys who were kind of.
Okay, but yeah, but how about this? For those guys, I'll throw at you Juan Toscano Anderson, Jordan Poole.
That's true.
Some of these guys did. The Wanamaker thing was weird because I thought that would be a nice fit, and he was just terrible. And then he went. They traded him, and he was better where he went. Again, it was just interesting. They had. And by the way, I think Wiseman's developing. The guy barely played in college. He doesn't have any experience. Of course, he's going to have struggles and up and downs. So I would argue that JTA and Jordan Poole are good examples. Oh, and then also Damian Lee. Those guys developed. So I think it's not the worst track record in the world, and think it's probably pretty good. So I would think that they're not going to really get an opportunity with anything, a wow trade for anybody. So I suspect they're probably going to use those draft picks, and they're going to keep developing Wiseman and run it back. I mean, listen, if you put Andrew Wiggins in his rightful spot behind Clay and Steph, then he's that much better. And then all of a sudden, Draymond is that much better. And then they have a team that can really compete.
Yeah, no, that actually JT is a pretty good, or JTA is a pretty good counterpoint. He was a nice piece this year. But all right, yeah, that was it. Thanks, Coach.
You got it. Thanks, Colin. All righty. Well, I think we're going to get done with the show here. It's a Sunday evening. It's late on the East Coast, and I'm like getting a little long in the tooth here and tired. Okay, here's Buzzer Beater. Oh my God, you guys have just been awesome today on the thing. Let me just do a quick shout out and thank you to everybody who's a super chatter tonight. Aaron, Zion again, Abdenego, Neeson, Adam, Buzzer Beater a bunch of times, Chrono, Zion again, and anyway, Philip. Thank you guys so much for being super chatters. Buzzer Beater, will you offer tutorial lessons for fans on how to read offenses and the defenses needed to stop it? I should charge us a reasonable fee. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, like maybe a live show that only. I mean, I have my membership on YouTube. I can do this kind of stuff. So maybe I'll start to do that as well. It'd be interesting as like a super tier where I'll come in with my iPad and we'll start diagramming some stuff and discussing it. I think I might start doing. That's not a bad idea. In fact, I've had people trying to push me to do more of those. So okay, let me that duly noted, and we'll figure it out. But either way. Thank you guys so much for being part of the show tonight. Awesome stuff. We'll be back again. I'm going to do at least one this week after one of these games. So stay tuned for that. And I'll get the game breakdown out tomorrow morning, hopefully, or tomorrow midday. So don't miss that either. Go watch all the other ones a few more times while you're at it. And don't forget, sports fans, at B-Ball Breakdown, not a channel, we're a conversation. You in?